As your hold monster spell encircles the dragon and causes its muscles to seize, it flexes and shrugs off your spell. Or, as you grab onto Demogorgon as it thrashes and you overpower it for a moment before one of its tentacles grips your leg and trips you. I don't think there's a single element of 5e monster design simultaneously more integral and more frustrating than legendary resistances. Any mechanic that functions as a yes, but actually no, is going to be frustrating for players, but more than that, legendary resistances are, frankly, boring. They don't move the fight in favour of either side, it just wastes an action and a resource. It is a neutralising effect rather than a positive effect for the monster. This does seem to be changing, sort of. Recent monsters, like the ancient Time Dragon, have a reaction that is triggered by using a legendary resistance, allowing for the opportunity for the scales to tip in the dragon's favour. And while I like this, I'll certainly take it over a neutralising effect. I don't think this is the best solution to the problem we have before us. Baldur's Gate 3's solution was to have legendary resistances be a +10 to saves against certain kinds of effects. And while there is value in this approach, I feel it's too easy to overcome. This advantage, combined with save DC boosting items, can make this version of legendary resistance practically non-existent. But this is also for a video game, where turning a boss into a joke doesn't really matter. If you feel dissatisfied with the fight, you can just reload a save, or challenge yourself on your next playthrough to not use those items. But at an actual table, you can only kill a boss once. Mostly. So translating this change into the tabletop would not be my preferred solution. MCDM has tried their hand at reworking legendary resistances, making them unique to each creature that has them, and making them come with a downside. So while it cancels out the PC's action, it still tips the scales in their favour. Now, I do like this a lot. It helps the player know they still accomplish something. And this is pretty close to my ideal solution, but I think we can make legendary resistances even more interesting by getting rid of them completely. Now hold up, I don't mean getting rid of their mechanics, but I propose we get rid of them as a resource pool. Instead, we fold them into the monster's reaction options. We can make them either more limited or come with a downside to make up for being able to do it potentially 3 times per round, every round. This leads to a tactical decision the DM must make, not just the PCs, whenever a legendary resistance is used. Because by using this reaction option to be more defensive, you are sacrificing your offensive options. We can also make these reactions a little more complicated, because there is no chance of using them and another reaction on the same turn, opening up the design space for a more interesting effect. For example, we could turn the Blue Dragon's legendary resistance into a reaction that allows them to duck for cover. They are, in lore, the most agile flyers, after all. And if they successfully make it into cover, they can re-roll the saving throw using dexterity if they weren't already, showing how this saving throw represents the dragon's ability to evade the triggering creature's line of sight. Now, the dragon can not only re-roll the save with an ability that is potentially higher than the triggering save, but they can also reposition themselves for future turns, completely changing the state of play. Other examples include a vampire turning into their gaseous form to have advantage on physical saves, then move up to their speed in that form. Or a lich sacrificing a soul in their soul jar, reducing their maximum hit points to succeed on the saving throw. There is a lot of room to play around with these reactions, all of which are infinitely more interesting than an auto-success in my opinion. Hey, if you enjoyed the content of this video, stick around. We're a newly formed TTRPG design duo, and I'm hoping to make a few more videos talking about monster design for D&D 5e. both my own and the design of the new monster manual when it comes out. The next video will be talking about monster weaknesses, why I think there aren't enough of them, and some examples from various sources of how to implement them into your own games in interesting ways.